Good evening. I'm Sandy Thomson, host of Life Ahead here on PBS Fort Wayne. I'm glad you're with us tonight because I think we've got some information that you might find very timely and very helpful for you. If you have a veteran in your family or a neighbor or someone that you know, we're going to be talking about some very interesting veteran benefits, and we have some specialists here that will not only answer my questions to them, but will answer your questions. And you see that number there on the bottom of the screen, 969-2720, and that's the number where you can call us right here at PBS, and we'll send your questions right on to our experts here. Okay, let's get started by first of all introducing you to our special guest this evening. You've met Janell before. She's an attorney, elder law attorney,
yes,
a
correct.
Specialist, and she's going to be addressing a lot of the legal factors that deal with veteran benefits, and the man himself who really knows about veterans. Well, he is a veteran, plus he's also a veteran service officer for Allen County, and that is Joe. Is it Wasson?
Wasson, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, good. Joe, thank you for coming to be with us tonight. Well, anyway, I want to make sure that you know you can call us here, 969-2720. If you don't live in the 260 area, just put a 1-866 in front of that, and it'll come into here toll free. It won't cost you anything. All right, let's get started. First of all, we're talking about VA benefits. And I said that you would talk about the legal aspects. One of the things we want to focus on are VA benefits for long-term care.
Yes.
Why are we talking about that, and is it really that applicable?
It is, because as an elder law attorney, a lot of times I am talking to clients about coming up with a plan or a strategy for paying for long-term care. And so we look at different sources of benefits to actually help supplement the care costs. So we talk about things like long-term care insurance through a private company.
Sure.
Or we'll talk about state benefits such as Medicaid or PACE. But there's another area out there that sometimes people don't consider, and that is a veterans benefit. That's a federally funded program that you may be eligible for, and there are benefits under that umbrella to help pay for long-term care.
So that's why we really want to talk about this, because it might be something that a lot of people aren't even aware of. And, you know, I hear veterans a lot say, I didn't know I was eligible for that. I didn't know I could get this. And to find out some of these things that you can get some long-term care benefits is a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Joe, I'm going to ask you to explain to people what a veteran is. I asked you some questions before the show about who's really eligible, who's considered a veteran that might benefit from this program.
That's a great question. The term veteran is different in different aspects. So the federal government may have a different definition of veteran, where the state has a different definition of veteran. So it kind of all depends on your eligibility.
Okay.
But our office, as a county veteran service officer, if you put on the uniform, you're going to be considered a veteran. For the benefit of non-service connected pension or aid in attendance, there is some eligibility requirements of some active duty service, honorable discharge.
For some of the benefits, but not all of them.
No, not all the benefits.
Okay.
No, ma'am. But the term of veteran is possibly an honorably discharged individual that served during a period of, or just served honorably. But again, that definition can be different for different entities.
And I ask you, what about reserves? If some people were in like the Army Reserves or something, does that count?
Absolutely. If you were in the National Guard or the Reserves, you may be eligible for some benefits. Every veteran is going to be a little bit different. Their time in service was going to be different than mine when I was in the service. We encourage that service member or the family member to contact our office, and we can kind of go through some of those eligibility requirements and kind of point them in the right direction.
Okay, Joe, what is your specific title to share with people?
The title would be the Director of Veteran Services for Allen County.
Okay, Director of Veteran Services for Allen County. Now, I think you told me that each county has an officer that can help people.
Yes, ma'am. It is per the governor, all 92 counties should have a veteran service officer. So each county has one of me. We encourage those service members they can find one through the Department of Veteran Affairs here in Indiana. They can find their local veteran service officer.
Like if somebody wanted to find the person for their county, do they go online and look for that? How do you find them?
Great question. IN.gov, and that's Indiana.
IN.gov. You can find about anything.
Yes, you
there.
can. Yes, ma'am. And right on there's going to be a section where you can search your veteran and county veteran service officer. There'll be a state map, and kind of click your county, and you'll have some information.
But you're serving Allen County.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're probably serving more people than any other county. And you have a full-time office here in Fort Wayne. Where is that?
We're at the Edwin Rousseau Center on the first floor
Okay.
in downtown Fort Wayne. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so people can call you, make an appointment, or do they need an appointment?
No, we like to have appointments.
Okay.
We encourage service members to give us a call, and so we can find a good time so they can get on our calendar. But we also have walk-ins, and anybody can come in during the day and ask questions. If a service officer is not available, we'll find a time to sit down with them or give them a call at a different time.
Well, Janell paid you quite a compliment a little while ago. She said, he never turns down anybody. He helps everybody.
He does, yep. So if you're not from Allen County and you want to have Joe help you find your county officer or answer questions, he is a great resource, and I refer people to him all the time. He's just a wealth of knowledge in that area.
Okay, Janell, as an elder law attorney, is it often that you're dealing with clients that are veterans that are searching for some sort of benefit that goes into their estate planning?
It usually doesn't. It's not usually a veteran that comes to me and says, what benefits do I have?
Yeah.
We ask it on our initial incoming questionnaire, along with what is your name and what is your address and are you
okay.
married? We ask, are you a veteran? Because what you mentioned earlier, a lot of veterans aren't aware that these benefits are out there. So we kind of are the first step of informing them that you may be eligible for a benefit. And I like to say there's a rainbow of veterans benefits. I really only deal as an elder law attorney with the benefits that would help with long-term care. But if they want more information on that area, I can answer that. I refer them to Joe very often to see if maybe they're eligible for the benefit I know of, but they may be eligible for other benefits as well. So we really work together to make sure that if we spot a veteran, that they are getting the best benefit package that's available.
All right, you said you primarily work with long-term care. Are we talking about long-term care in terms of benefits for a nursing home or retirement center, or benefits for home health care?
All of the above. In fact, when I think of long-term care benefits, there's really two big avenues. One is a service-connected disability or injury, and that's if you were injured in the line of duty. Through that, you would have a disability rating, and if you needed long-term care, you might be, based on your disability rating, you might be eligible to stay and get your care costs covered at a nursing facility for a VA facility. So in this area, that would be Bethlehem Woods. Okay. So that is one area that
Bethlehem Woods
okay. Nursing facility. So if you have a disability rating, then that might be available to you. But the other area that a lot of people are unaware of is even if you don't have a service-connected disability, only if you are needing long-term care because you're just getting older and because you need help with your activities of daily living, there is something called a non-service connected pension called aid and attendance, and that is available to anyone whether you were injured in the line of duty or not. There are some requirements, but that is something I like to explain, and then we go through and we kind of see if that might be something that would help you supplement the cost of that long-term care.
Okay, all right, and oftentimes with the client, you're working closely with Joe to verify things. Joe, in addition to, as Janell mentioned, looking for long-term care, what other benefits or what other things do you work with clients on?
Through our office, we wear a lot of different hats, and kind of when a service member comes to our office, we're just going to see how we can assist. Most often, we're going to be filing disability claims for them.
Oh, okay.
And so if they were injured while on active duty, we can assist them with the claims process and making sure that goes through an accredited service office. And so our office is accredited through the American Legion. And so our claims go through the American Legion, and we kind of help that service member kind of understand the benefits, but also be part of the aftercare part. A claim may take anywhere from 4 to 10 months. and we may need to kind of follow up with them and kind of share with them those benefits after they get a rating.
Okay.
So we kind of want to be there for the aftercare part too.
Do you work with other members of the family?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we most often we could be talking to a spouse,
Okay.
maybe a child, and really anybody that may be eligible. We want to assist. We kind of encourage the spouses to call us too, because there could be a benefit for them, or sometimes the service member may need that spouse to kind of ask some of those questions.
Okay, all right. Now, you mentioned spouses or children or whatever might be eligible, and we've talked about that on this show, but not for a while. That there could be, you could be eligible for something and you don't even know it. Does that happen sometimes?
Yes, ma'am.
People don't know that they are?
Yes, ma'am. They can find out through a friend or through social media or the news outlets, and if they do come across some information and they have questions about it, all they need to do is call, and we can maybe go through that pain funnel.
How are they going to find you, Joe? I know you said, your actual office is at the Russo Center, but if they want to find your phone number, I know you can say it now.
Sure,
That's
sure.
okay.
We're at 260-449,
He doesn't know
449-7861.
right?
That's right. I almost gave a personal cell phone. So 260-449-7861 is our main line. And
But where can they find it if they didn't hear you just now?
where can they find it? They can go to allencounty.gov and they can find it right there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, good to know. Okay, now I'll see if I can trick Janell on something here too,
okay.
just to make it even. How does a veteran apply for a pension benefit?
Yes, so there's different ways to do it. Going online at the va.gov, there are all of the forms online.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned to you before the show, sometimes it's complicated, it gets a little overwhelming to gather all the information. They're all straightforward, and you can fill it out yourself if you're so inclined. But that's usually, once we've established and we've talked about with my clients, once we've established that this program exists and they might be eligible for it, when we're at the point where, okay, this is a good plan for you, you are eligible for it, now we want to apply, I usually will have them seek Joe to help them Joe will act as a liaison to gather all the information and to get those forms completed and to submit them. And then, it takes a while sometimes. It can take anywhere, in my experience, 6 months to a year for this process to go from beginning to end where you're actually receiving the check, the monthly benefit check. And so Joe's office is great in following up and seeing what the status is and trying to maybe motivate and push the VA a little bit and getting a response. And so it's really helpful to have someone on your side kind of shepherding
Rather than
it through.
just doing it online by yourself, not sure if you even did it right. We have a phone call. This is from Peter, and Peter said, what is the time frame for processing an application?
Just talked about that.
Yeah,
Joe, you
I'll
may have
turn that
some-
one to you, Joe, and you can talk over here to Peter.
I think with an application, that could be anywhere from 4 to 10 months. I think the first thing that we need to do is have that service member sit down with a service officer or whoever's going to be filing that claim and gather that necessary information and get that submitted. Again, every veteran is going to be different. If that service member is already service connected, we may see that claim come back a little bit sooner rather than if it's their first initial claim.
Okay, anything to add to that, Janell?
Oh, I was just thinking sometimes the things that slow it down from what I've experienced is there's certain documentation that's needed. Now, a lot of veterans have
Like?
a DD-214. That's a paper that shows when they were admitted into the service and when they were discharged and whether it was honorably discharged or whatnot.
Will they have that, or is that something they have to
A
search
lot of
for?
times people have it, but if it's
Okay.
a child that's helping an elderly parent through it, sometimes they may not know where it is or they can't obtain it, so sometimes we have to order something like that. So just smaller things like that can kind of delay the process, and that adds to that 4 to 10 month time frame as well. So it's really how quickly can when we're going to try to get you done as quick as possible.
But it sounds like even though it's going to take a little bit of time, less time if you get some help with it, it's worth it because you're going to get a benefit you didn't get before.
Right, and it's also, we need to know that when a service member, they can actually establish an effective date. And so they can file a claim to kind of get their foot in line. And so they may not be able to file the claim for a couple months, but when they file the claim, when it gets adjudicated, they may get back paid to the day that they actually filed the intent to file.
All right, now you've lost me.
I did, but when we file these claims, it could take 4 to 10 months,
Okay.
there could be a process where even though it takes this long, the veteran can be compensated monetarily back to the date that they filed. So it could
Okay.
take long, but at the end result, he may receive or she may receive some of those benefits.
Okay.
So there's a form, Sandy, just to kind of give you a second set of ears on how to. There's a form that you can file that says, hey, I have intention to file for this benefit.
I see.
So you file this one form, and then it kind of puts a line in the sand and gives you
As
some
to, like,
time
the
to
start
gather.
date.
It gives you up to a year to
Okay.
gather all the rest of the information and to file that form. So if your line in the sand is here and it takes you another 6 months to gather, your payment, once you are eligible, will retroactive back to that initial form. So that kind of sets you up for a
And,
little.
because some people, I'm assuming, don't do that form. Is that right, Joe? So they can't aren't eligible for the back pay?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes. And so
Okay.
we just encourage them when they do make that phone call to our office, we're going to kind of let it all out there to kind of give them all those options
Got
and to
it.
be there for them.
Okay, don't forget, you can call us here at 969-2720, and Joe and Janelle will answer your questions. Okay, let's talk about the receiving your pension after you've applied. Does that take a long time or no? I mean, to actually get money for that pension.
Once they've adjudicated you, to use Joe's word, and found you eligible, then you start getting the monthly payments right then, and you may get
okay.
a lump sum back payment if you've done that intent letter and it's been a couple months. But I mean, typically you get a monthly, I would say a check, but usually it's direct deposited into the veteran's bank account. Or if you're a surviving spouse, you are also eligible. If you can rely on your deceased spouse service record, if you're eligible, then the surviving spouse could have a check.
Could be getting that.
Yeah.
If that person, the veteran, is in a long-term care facility or something, does payment go directly to them or to their home and then they pay for it?
You put on the application itself where you want the funds
you have
to
a
go.
preference.
But if you have in a situation of a veteran who maybe no longer have capacity, then the VA will require a fiduciary to act on that veteran's behalf. So in that instance, then they would set up a separate account that's just for the benefit of the veteran, and we could have the payments directed there.
Okay, can you use the benefit then, just to go over this again, because I think a lot of people would be interested. Can you use your benefit for services in your home? Say you want to hire a home health care to come into your home for medications or cooking or cleaning or something. They can come, or it'll cover that, or in a facility.
Absolutely. So if we're talking about that aid and attendance benefit that I talked about earlier, that one is exactly. Now I have a lot of clients who are opting or choosing to age in place, to stay in their home.
Age in place.
Exactly.
I love that term, and we do use that a lot on this show because that seems to be the way of now and the future.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
want to age in place.
And this is actually, that's one of those areas where this type of benefit, this aid and attendant benefit, works very, very well because it helps fill a gap that you may have in being able to afford to have someone come into your home. So absolutely, yes, your aid and attendance benefits can be utilized to hire nurses or caregivers to come into your home, but it can also be used to help us to cover the gap in an assisted living facility or in a nursing home. So you can use them in any of those three categories.
Now, I know that there are a number of organizations or businesses in not only in Allen County, but in all of northern Indiana that provide home health care that you can sign up for and pay for the person to come in and help with these things. So would the benefit go to that person, or do they come to you and you pay the home health care worker?
That's a great question. The money actually comes to you, and you can choose what home health care you would like to use. So they don't have to be in a Medicaid situation, for example. It has to be a facility that will accept Medicaid. This is not that situation because the payment isn't going directly to the facility or to the home health care. It is coming to you, and you can choose to use it for whichever home health care you prefer.
Okay, all right, we have another question here. This one is from Sam. Hold on just a second here, and I'll get to that. I know we're talking about, well, your specialty, Joe, obviously, is Allen County, but you know what happens in the other counties, and all the different officers would be doing a similar thing than you do. But here's what we are curious about. Sam wants to know, are there any differences between Indiana and Ohio for a claim? Do you know?
If it is a standard filing for a disability claim, it doesn't matter if you're an Indiana resident or Ohio resident. We're still filing.
It'd be the same all over the United States because it is
a federal program.
Federal program. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, Sam, thank you. That was a good question. And I appreciate you watching, by the way, as well here. What happens if a claim is denied? Joe, let's go to you for that. What would be some reasons that it might be denied? I don't want to be negative, but we have to look at that as a possibility.
They may not be eligible. They may have too much assets. They may be over the limit for assets.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of things that they could be denied for, but there is an appeal process. And so our office can also assist with kind of gathering the evidence and kind of understanding why they're denied and kind of sharing with them what information is needed.
Okay.
Usually when a service member is denied for benefits, they kind of are told the answers in the test right there in the notification. So we kind of use that notification letter to kind of understand why they're denied, and then we can appeal that process.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that it's forever, but it might mean a little more work on your part to appeal again. We've talked a little bit about Medicaid. Janell, what's the difference here? Can a person get both Medicaid and these VA benefits?
You can actually be eligible for and be receiving both types of benefits. There are some nuances between the two different programs. For example, the aid and attendance, to meet the health care requirement, you need to have assistance with 2 of your activities of daily living. You need help. You need to have help. You need to have help with those 2 things, if that makes sense. So, but with Medicaid, they actually require 3. So, in most instances, we see that someone might be eligible for their health care for the VA benefits earlier than they might be eligible health care wise for the Medicaid benefits.
Okay.
Another big difference between the 2 programs, and Joe alluded to this, is the asset requirement. The VA is much more liberal. You can have a lot more assets and be eligible for aid and attendance. You can have up to 159, I wrote it down because the numbers just changed. You can have up to $159,240 of assets and still be eligible for VA benefits.
That's good. That's promising.
Yes, because for Medicaid, you have to have $2,000 or under. So there's a
big difference.
Big difference there. And then as far as the benefit is considered, VA caps what your monthly rate can be. And I want to read those numbers just so everyone can hear.
So this is the last minute numbers here that Janell's
exactly.
providing.
They change annually, so these are the 2025 numbers. So if you apply for aid and attendance and you are a single veteran, the maximum amount that you would receive monthly, that you could receive, is $2,358 a month, which is great. If you're a veteran who's married, you can get a little more, and that's $2,795 a month. Or if you're a surviving spouse, so your veteran, your spouse is deceased, you can still get $1,515. Now, that's great, and that helps clear that gap if you're needing a little extra income.
That's definitely worth going through the process.
I would say so, yes. But there is a situation if you're in a nursing home where your income combined with the VA benefit may still not be enough, because a monthly charge of a nursing home can be quite high.
A lot.
So that's when we start thinking about Medicaid then, because Medicaid will cover the gap between your income and whatever the care cost is. So that could be significantly more. It can be $5,000, $8,000. To Medicaid, they'll pay whatever that is. Whereas the VA benefit is structured a little bit differently in that it's just a max monthly amount that they will pay you. So there's some pros and cons both ways, but yes, you could be receiving both at the same time. That is a possibility.
Well, as pretty much any program, it gets very complicated, all the better reason that you do get some sort of professional help in sorting it all out. Joe, I've got one more question for you. We're nearly out of time, but I want to know what the Military Family Relief Fund is and who's eligible.
So the Military Family Relief Fund is brought on by the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, and it's a grant program for service members that are in need. Every veteran that you see with the license plate out there, those veterans actually put money into this program. So veterans are helping out veterans.
Okay.
And I think last year, I do have some numbers, I want to get that right, but last year there was about 2,140 applications and a 700 in Indiana.
Okay.
And there were 792 that were approved. And the state of Indiana provided about $925,000 of grants to service members that were in need. Anything from car repair, and so it's a great program. Again, our office can kind of point service members there. There is some eligibility, but it's an amazing program for service members.
So it doesn't have anything to do in terms of long-term care that we're talking about. It could be, like you said, car repair, anything.
Yeah, this is a great program that we have in our state, and I think it's really neat.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Over
ma'am.
$900,000 has been paid out in Indiana for
this
that.
year. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, somebody needs to apply for these things that you didn't even know were possible for you. I want to thank not only Janell Sprinkle for coming and talking to us, giving us the legal aspects, but Joe Wasson for your expertise and all that you do. And I know I was talking to Joe earlier. You've been doing this since 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've helped a lot of people.
Thank you.
Well, I hope that this information has helped you that we provide here on Life Ahead. And we'll be back right here next Wednesday night at 7:30 with another topic. Meanwhile, be sure and watch us here, not only on PBS, but you can catch us also on YouTube. We'll see you next week.
The preceding program on PBS Fort Wayne was made possible in part by
the year 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be of retirement age. Beers Mallers, elder law attorneys, counsel individuals regarding matters of setting up estates, trusts, and help navigate difficult family situations. Beers Mallers, attorneys at law, with offices in Fort Wayne, LaGrange, and on the web at beersmallers.com.